A lot's been happening in the last week. U.S. debt problems, tariff wars, a looming recession, peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, and disease outbreaks, they all demand our attention. In this video, I'm also going to tell you how to enter this week's giveaway, so let's jump in. Thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this YouTube ad-free video. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness, aka prepping. Now, these weekly news updates are designed to inform you about potential changes in our world so you can prepare effectively. Whether the threats are immediate or may not materialize, evaluating them objectively is essential, and this helps us understand their possible impact on our future security and stability. Now, I released a video yesterday where I detailed the foundations that I have been building here at the City Prepping property. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in response to some of the news that we're going to be covering. Remember, action replaces anxiety regarding anything in the headlines today, so let's jump in. U.S. debt problems. Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater, he warned that the U.S. debt problem could lead to shocking developments due to severe supply-demand issues. Speaking in Singapore, Dalio emphasized that the U.S. may sell a large quantity of debt that the world may not want to buy, which could disrupt the global economy. Now, he highlighted the need to reduce the U.S. deficit from 7.2% to 3% of GDP and suggested potential solutions like debt restructuring or pressuring other countries to buy U.S. debt. Now, Dalio also noted that trade policy uncertainty and tariffs could lead to conflicts between countries, drawing parallels to historical events. Now, I've mentioned Dalio on this channel before, even in the last week's news video, because many of his dire warnings that he's given, they're starting to come true. And I'll link to his video in the comments and description section below about how the U.S. may be on the verge of losing its superpower status and ability to influence geopolitical policies and decisions. This is especially important given the America First policies seem to be alienating our allies and casting a shadow over the United States' decision-making capabilities on the world stage. Allies are raising significant concerns regarding the reliability of our international partnerships, as recent actions suggest a willingness to prioritize strategic convenience over consistent support for allies. Now, regarding this warning, the U.S. October-February budget deficit hit a record $1.147 trillion. Driving the spending growth in February was higher spending on the Treasury's interest in public debt, outlays for child tax credit payments, and increased Social Security payments, due partially to a 2.5% cost of living adjustment for 2025. Though we've been discussing the budget deficit for decades, it's significant now for two reasons. First, the House budget reconciliation, which is supposed to be voted on by the Senate the day I'm releasing this video, Friday, is estimated to increase the deficit by another $5 trillion over the next 8 years. And if this budget doesn't pass on Friday, the government will shut down. Invariably, when I cover these government shutdowns, there's always some last-minute deal or half measure that kicks the can down the road a little further, but the growing shadow of the deficit gets larger and darker. Now, second, America is not exactly leaving a lot of goodwill in the world after retracting its foreign aid and continual threats of tariffs in the 200 to 300% range. Many countries are at least questioning U.S. policy, if not outright working to form new trade partnerships and circumvent and isolate the United States. In that climate, getting other countries to finance our debt and spending habits is going to be hard, which is essential to avoid a significant economic decline. We'll have to see how this Friday's vote plays out and whether the U.S. will increase or shrink its alarming debt. Also, we'll have to see the rest of the world's willingness to float and finance the U.S. debt amidst a climate of an ongoing tariff war. Now, look, I'm not an economist. I don't even play one here on YouTube, but anyone who's ever managed a household budget knows that ballooning debt is never good. And you can't continue to sell off your debt or finance it with other countries, akin to getting more and more credit cards when you're already in debt over your head, primarily when you're engaged in trade wars with them. Is the U.S. debt problem about to boil over? What's your take on it? Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this YouTube ad-free video. When I purchased my property, one of the top priorities was securing it. I'm not always there, and I didn't want the hassle of constantly having to check an app whenever an alert popped up. After comparing quotes from local security companies with their high equipment costs, expensive monthly fees, and long contracts, I chose SimpliSafe even before they sponsored the channel. And I bought the equipment, installed it myself, and signed up for 24/7 professional monitoring, which has no contracts. Now, one of the new features I like is SimpliSafe's new Active Guard outdoor protection. Traditional systems only react after a break-in, but with Active Guard, SimpliSafe's AI-powered cameras and live agents can detect suspicious activity the moment someone steps into your property. Agents can intervene instantly, speaking to the intruder, triggering alarms and spotlights, or dispatching police before they even get inside. Their advanced AI even distinguishes between familiar faces and strangers, meaning fewer false alarms. Combined with their base system, motion sensors, cameras, and water monitors, it's total peace of mind. Plus, their app allows me to arm or disarm the system, view live feeds, and manage everything remotely. And right now, you can save 50% on your SimpliSafe system when you sign up for professional monitoring. Plus, get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/cityprepping to customize yours. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Economic red flags. If you follow this channel, you know that we try to make every effort to alert you about any significant economic downturns. We also emphasize that prepping and emergency preparedness are your best bets against a faltering or failing economy. And this hasn't been more true than it is today. Even the most ardent and cautious experts who avoid the dreaded R word, recession, are conceding that we are likely to see at least a very small one. Some are even openly wondering whether the Trump administration is manufacturing a recession with tariffs. Others claim that this is nothing more than a market correction and unrelated to the ongoing and escalating tariff wars. I think there are some very significant economic red flags, and I'll take it a step further and tell you that a substantial retraction or even a deep recession is probably unavoidable for us this year. And this ongoing tariff war is having a direct impact on Americans' budgets, with rising costs for items containing aluminum, steel, dairy, and even electricity. While these tariffs are sometimes only threatened, each threat causes price volatility and massive inventory swings. Each threat often comes with a retaliatory tariff or shifts away from American exports. And the fluctuating tariff policies, they create instability and they erode trust, driving long-standing trade partners toward China and other non-U.S. trade partners. And this economic strain is compounded by market uncertainty and the potential hit to retirement accounts. The U.S. stock market has shed $4 trillion in value in the last 30 days. Now, the United States stock market has experienced significant losses in the past, but a $4 trillion loss in 30 days is quite rare. One notable instance was during the 2008 financial crisis when the market saw substantial declines over a short period. However, the recent $4 trillion loss is attributed mainly to investors' fears over President Trump's escalating tariff policies and economic uncertainties. Others are pushing the narrative that the stock market declines have nothing to do with the sell-off. Whomever you decide to believe may not matter. You're probably feeling the pinch of higher prices at the grocery store, the gas station, when the utility bill comes, or when you go to buy any product that originated outside the United States. And you might be holding back on making some big-ticket purchases yourself, and that a purchase avoidance will show itself in faltering consumer confidence by the end of this fiscal quarter if outlooks don't change. It's already starting to show in the current numbers, and the faltering consumer confidence is an earmarked precursor to a recession. Social Security and other government programs are under pressure as the United States grapples with the budget deficit. The recent increases in Social Security payments driven by a cost of living adjustment adds to the financial burden. And as the government aggressively downsizes, the economy will continue to slow. Every day brings a new tariff threat, the implementation of a tariff or a retaliatory tariff. And this drives costs for everything up as global trade unravels. The on-again, off-again nature of tariff policies only adds to the unpredictability, making it difficult for individuals to plan and secure their finances. Now, as I stated earlier, I'm not an economist, so I can't really predict where this will all end up. I don't think the economists can even make that prediction with absolute certainty, but I don't have to, and they don't have to, in order to clearly see the writing on the wall. We're heading into an economic downturn before it will get any better, despite what anyone else may say to the contrary. On that point, prepping is a hedge against inflation and economic hard times. By stockpiling essential items and diversifying investments, individuals can protect themselves from the volatility of the market and the impact of rising costs. Taking proactive prepping steps now can help mitigate the effects of economic instability and ensure a more secure future. If you've been prepping for a while, you know this is true. And if you're just beginning to prep and build a more stable, self-sufficient future for yourself and your family, welcome. And you've got some work ahead of you. It's vital that you take the steps now to prepare, or that you redouble your efforts now. At the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing to ensure food is on my table as we collectively face a significant economic downturn, and I'd love to hear what you're doing. Let me know in the comments below. Diseases. We continue to monitor disease outbreaks with particular attention to the escalating measles situation and the potential threat of bird flu. Now, the measles outbreak is especially alarming, as infection numbers in the first 3 months of 2025 are approaching the total number for 2024. New measles cases have surfaced in California, New York, and Maryland, while Oklahoma is investigating possible infections. Texas is the epicenter with 223 cases since January, mainly among unvaccinated individuals. New Mexico has reported 33 cases, predominantly along the Texas border. Tragically, 2 measles-related deaths have occurred in the United States this year. The CDC has issued an advisory urging healthcare professionals to remain vigilant during spring and summer travel. Simultaneously, a growing bird flu outbreak is of increasing concern. Millions of birds and some cattle herds in the United States have been affected, although the overall risk to humans is still low. Experts warn that the virus may only be a few mutations away from efficient human-to-human transmission, potentially escalating the risk. And health officials emphasize the importance of maintaining high vaccination rates for measles and staying informed about the evolving bird flu situation. Finally, I'm not overly concerned, but it's still important to mention that the hantavirus has appeared this year. It has appeared yearly since they first started tracking it in the United States around 1993. Now, this case involved the famous actor Gene Hackman's wife, so it's a little more notable. I'm not overly concerned about hantavirus, at least not as much as I am about a more significant measles outbreak or some more extensive transmission, human to human, of the avian flu strains. I say that because transmissions of Hanta is primarily through respiratory particles from mouse feces. If you live in a high-risk area like a farming operation, a rural area, or an overpopulated urban setting, then you should be aware that the virus is out there, but there's no need to panic. Increasing your safety and cleaning protocols remove debris that rodents may find appealing and heighten your cleaning practices. We're going to continue to monitor all these diseases for you. So, what do you think? Are you more concerned about these than I am at the moment? Is your local news stoking your fears? Let us know your take in the comments below. Giveaway. This week's winner is going to receive a 3-pack of rechargeable compact handheld lights. To participate in the giveaway, all you have to do is simply comment on the video, give it a thumbs up, and complete the giveaway form linked in the description section below. Giving this video a thumbs up allows us to spread the prepping message further. Also, you must complete the form to be eligible, as that's how we randomly pick a winner and contact you. This information is only accessible to our team here at City Prepping, and using a random selection tool, we'll choose a winner from the entrance and reach out to you via email that you provided on the submitted form. So congrats to our last giveaway winner for the Survival Medicine Handbook, Richard Geringer. We'll reach out to you to get that sent right away. Ukraine. Will we see peace between Russia and Ukraine? The war just entered its 4th year, and there doesn't really seem to be any significant or lasting peace on the horizon, though there's been considerable back and forth. A lot has happened in the last few weeks, so let's quickly run through the main points. In February of this year, a series of diplomatic events unfolded regarding the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict. On February 17th, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Saudi Arabian officials preparing for talks between U.S. and Russian diplomats to end the war. Now, these talks, notably excluding Ukrainian representatives, were intended to lay the groundwork for a summit between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, on February 28th, Ukrainian President Zelensky met with President Trump and Vice President Vance at the White House. The globally broadcasted meeting devolved into a heated exchange with Zelensky, Trump, and Vance. The confrontation led to the cancellation of Zelensky's visit and raised doubts about the future U.S. support for Ukraine. Now, this exchange highlighted differing perspectives on achieving peace and strained U.S.-Ukraine relations, with Trump threatening to end and actually suspending support if Ukraine didn't agree to a deal. In a significant shift on March 2nd, European leaders convened in London to meet with Zelensky. Now, this gathering suggested a potential rebalancing of diplomatic efforts, with European nations taking a more active role in peace negotiations. The UK Prime Minister announced a framework for a peace plan following the summit, indicating a possible new direction in resolving the conflict. Now, since then, the U.S. met with Zelensky again in Saudi Arabia and hammered out a mineral deal and ceasefire proposal. That proposal is being presented in Moscow about right now. News today from a Russian envoy was that Russia would flatly reject the ceasefire proposal, seeing it as an opportunity for Ukraine to regroup. One of the conditions is that Ukraine, Poland, and the Baltic states disarm and remove NATO troops, a condition unacceptable to European nations and NATO allies, as it would drastically alter Eastern European security landscape. Russia also this week announced the full deployment of tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, which shares a border with Poland. In response, Poland has requested nuclear weapons from the United States. Withdrawing NATO troops from Poland would undo decades of security arrangements and leave Eastern European countries vulnerable to Russian influence. A disarmed Ukraine, Poland, or any Eastern European nation would not feel safe from Russian aggression, given Russia's past actions. Now, this proposal highlights the vast gulf between Russian and Western positions in the peace talks, and it demonstrates Russia's desire to reestablish its sphere of influence in the former Soviet bloc countries. Now, this goal directly conflicts with the principles of sovereignty and self-determination championed by NATO and its allies. The inclusion of such a demand in peace negotiations suggests that reaching a mutually acceptable agreement will be highly challenging, given the fundamental disagreements over European security architecture. Now, as of the time I'm recording this video, Putin says that Moscow supports the idea of a 30-day ceasefire, but not before the Kremlin negotiates specific issues. One of these issues is the Kursk region, from which Ukrainian forces are already voluntarily withdrawing. They also demand a full Ukrainian retreat from all Ukrainian territories currently occupied by Russia. Will another condition be the disarmament of Ukraine, and would the U.S. support that? Complicating the trust issue are the broken promises of the Budapest Memorandum of 1994. Now, this agreement saw Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan give up their nuclear arsenals in exchange for security guarantees from the US, UK, France, China, and Russia. Russia violated the agreement by annexing Crimea in 2014 and later launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Other countries involved failed to defend Ukraine's sovereignty fully, raising doubts about their trustworthiness in current negotiations. If you missed anything these last few weeks, that should get you up to speed. While you may have missed some of the back and forth details if you weren't paying attention or tuned it out, you didn't miss the ball moving towards peace or a more profound war. One of those two is going to happen. We're exactly where we were before the contentious back and forth exchanges, meetings, and handshakes. So what do you think? Will Russia inevitably reject the negotiated ceasefire? Will we be any closer to peace, or will this conflict lead us to a more profound world war and continue to strain global economies? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. In times like these, when the headlines are heavy and the future really feels uncertain, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here's a truth that every prepper knows. Fear, it's a reaction, but preparedness, it's a choice. And we're not here doing what we're doing because we're afraid. We're here because we choose to face the unknown head on. We choose to take action. And action is the ultimate antidote to anxiety. Every can of food that you stock, every gallon of water that you store, every skill that is learned is a declaration that we will not be caught unprepared. And that is strength, and that's courage. I mean, yes, if we look at what's happening in the world right now, the economic warnings are loud. Debt, deficits, and trade tensions, they paint a concerning picture. Disease outbreaks and geopolitical instability, they add another layer of concern. But none of this is new to the preparedness community. We know that the world is always uncertain, and it's not the uncertainty that defines us, but how we choose to respond to it. Now's the time to reaffirm our commitment to resilience. It's a time to review and reinforce your food stores, to double check your water supplies, to learn that new skill that you've been putting off. It's a time to lean into your community, because preparedness, it's not just about supplies. It's about connections, relationships, and shared strength. We specifically built an online community to help you connect. And if you're interested in learning more, I'll post a link to it below in the description section of this video. If you're new to this, my encouragement is this: don't be discouraged. Everyone starts somewhere. Each step you take today, no matter how small, is a step towards greater security tomorrow. And if you've been at this for years, now is the time to reassess and strengthen your systems. I would encourage you to ask yourself, where am I strong and where am I vulnerable? Then take action. Small, consistent steps, they compound into significant progress. Most of all, remember why you're doing this. You're not prepping for fear's sake. You're prepping for your family, for peace of mind, and for the freedom that comes from knowing you're ready for whatever may come. You're prepping because hope is not found in crossing fingers, but in working hands. And remember, you're not alone. So let this be your encouragement today. You're stronger than you think. You're more capable than you know. And every effort you make now is an investment in your future peace and stability. All right, here's what I want you to do next. Go check out these videos I'll post here on the side of the screen. One is about the foundations of what I'm building, what I've been working on this last week. And the other one is about stockpiling food on a budget. Now look, I get it, times are tight, but your food security is that vital first line defense against a darkening future. So please take it serious. As always, Stay safe out there.